watching you.
And right now, our next talk up, we have Drew Porter up here with talking about the Internet Kill Switch. Come at me, bro. So please welcome him to the stage.
How you guys doing? Can you hear me? Yeah? That's exactly how I feel too. How about that after party? That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. All right, so let's get started. I only got like 20 minutes. So boring stuff first, yeah. This is me. Okay, NetSec major. I work at chemical engineering. I'm that crazy guy. And cellular networks, yeah. All right, a little guidance. So I only have 20 minutes, but I don't want this to be a lecture. I want your guys' input as well. So if you have questions or anything, that's fine. If you want to harass me, you can do that after the talk, I guess. But let's not do it while during the talk. And then if you don't want to ask your question here, I totally understand. We can talk offline. And if you got an idea for what I will be talking about, or if you got something you want to try to integrate into it, we can start hacking afterwards. So here's an agenda. I won't be doing drinking right now. Yeah. The bar doesn't open at 9 o'clock in the morning here. I guess this place is ran by fascists or something. Jesus Christ, man. Oh, yeah, and there's a drinking game if you want to participate. I wouldn't. Not right now, anyway. So a little bit of background. So the DustNet project is what we'll be talking about. And I'm going to give you some background of why I started this. So you guys might have heard of something called Arab Springs. If you haven't, I don't know, watch the news. But yeah, it happened. They shut down major communication infrastructure, and people were going all crazy. Governments were willing to help. You know, we might have heard of an internet in a box. Yeah, if a government gave me an internet in a box, I definitely would never use that. So I developed an open source type version of that. So going with the conspiracy thing, maybe you don't want these guys listening to your phone calls and to anything that you do. Anything that, you know, releases an EMI, pretty much they can pick up. And that's not just like conspiracy, I mean, that's well known of. And this is kind of like where the last straw was. I'm fine and all without having to pay for someone, you know, to fondle me, I guess. But well, I guess I do pay them through taxes. But I'm definitely not fine with them taking my internet. I have to go to Reddit. I gotta give people upvotes. Come on. So the DustNet project, what is it? It's a rapid deployable dark communications comm and a box. It's actually not just one box, it's a series of boxes put together. And that allows for, one of my core values is communications for all. So, you know, I don't care about people's personal, you know, we may not agree on a lot of things, but I believe that every person should have communication or the ability to communicate with others without having to be worried of being listened into or have the worry of those communications being compromised, whether they know it or not. So it's a multi-part system. It has a back end, it has interfaces, and it can have end devices. And it works with existing dark nets and mesh nets. So depending on the configuration you want to have with this, you can have it working with a popular mesh net protocol is CJDNS right now. Popular darknet protocol is I2P. The current configuration, which I will be talking about, will be the I2P configuration. And then security and anonymity is the point. That's what I want my comms to be secure, and I don't want anyone to know who I'm really talking to. Not that my conversations would be interesting, but I just prefer it not to be listened to. So a little bit more about the DustNet project. It's here, right here, and this full disclosure, I didn't sacrifice a kitten to the demo gods, and I thought I was smart. And the worst thing to do is think that you're like semi-intelligent before you're giving a live demo, and you kill your demo. But I will be posting up a video. Unfortunately, I can't give a live demo for it here, but I'll be posting up a video as soon as I can when I get back. So sorry about that. But we'll just cover more of the some technical notes. So I didn't reinvent the wheel. This isn't like some magical thing I made. This is an integration project. I just added a larger engine and transmission to some projects, and I had to change how a few programs work, like I2P, so it can work within a self-contained network and not rely on the larger internet infrastructure, because that's what we want to get away from, is relying on that. And then, so there are routing boards in here. They serve as the simulated internet, and they can route to each other successfully. And most standard services run just fine on it. The services that I'm interested in run just fine. And I don't change in the I2P configuration how I2P is supposed to be implemented. I just implemented it without a true internet. So I just simulated that, and it works just fine. So this is it, as you guys can see. There is another DustNet box that I have made. It's the support box for it. There is many working demos of that. So we talk about, well, the internet could be shut down. Okay, well, where has that actually happened? Like, yeah, you're just some crazy ginger that's up here, that's like all into conspiracies. Where has this happened? So in the past 10 years, this is where it's happened. And we might think, oh, it's never gonna happen to us, but I'm sure that's what people in those countries thought as well. So this is why we should start preparing before we actually have to worry about anything. And I know that's a little, tinfoil hat-ish, but that's what I honestly believe. And I know a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of you guys believe that that could happen to us as well. So why should you care? You should care because, as we saw in the last slide, if we were to lose all major communication infrastructure right now, how would you guys communicate? I mean, honestly, so we have, some of us, licensed or not, have, ham-band equipment. How else would you guys communicate? I'm sure you guys have thought of it. All communication infrastructure shut down. That's including your ham repeaters. So how do we communicate now? Carrier pigeons. There is an RFC IP through carrier pigeon. Definitely, you should watch a YouTube video that way. Bicycle messenger, yeah, see, I'm lazy. I don't want to get on a bike. Right, yeah, forget that, man. I used to live in this area. Maybe if I lived in like Florida, where I could just like coast for miles, but no. How would you communicate? I know I would still want my cell phone. I know others would probably want their cell phone, so why not allow that? And that's why we should care. It's like, have we planned for this? There's a small segment in the security community that has looked and that are trying to plan for something like this, but there's not a large effort right now. So I could skip this because I'm running a little bit short on time. But here's a pure DustNet network, and this is how it's supposed to be implemented. And I thank my work because right now, how DustNet is currently implemented, it is really, really expensive. So my bosses were like, I was like, hey, I want to build this. And they're like, yeah, sure. I was like, it's going to be an open source project. They're like, oh, that's totally cool. And I was just like, I want to use the spare equipment in the lab. So they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. So I grabbed like some USRPs that we had laying around, and I grabbed some single board computers, solid state drives, and when I got done with it, the box came out to like $4,000. That's kind of expensive. I mean, who wants to pay $4,000? Yeah, that's right. I don't want to pay $4,000 for nothing. So my second iteration, which will be updated on the website, when I put all this on the website, which will be given at the end, will be, I'm trying to hit for sub 1,000. And that seems still a little expensive, but we're talking about systems that communicate with 10 kilometer distances. So that's 10 kilometers meshed distances. So one unit, another unit, 10 kilometers away, and then another unit 10 kilometers away. So yeah, the equipment's kind of expensive, but it's because it's fairly powerful. But this is how it works. So you have the back-end boxes. The little yellow boxes could just be servers. They don't have any real communication ports except that connect to the comm boxes. But they can be still set up in a mesh. The comm boxes are actually communicating wirelessly. They mesh that way. They have access to, or you have access to Wi-Fi and cellular with them. Right now I'm trying to keep it to open source, so unfortunately there is a hacked up version of OpenBTS that allows for really slow data communication speeds, and sometimes it's not reliable. We could make this with commercial, WCDMA stacks, but then that just gets really, really expensive. And again, I don't want to pay for that, or I'm sure you guys don't want to pay for that. So I have no problem paying for it because I get to work with those all the time, so I'm not being charged anything. But if I want this to actually go somewhere, having someone pay $10,000 for a commercial stack would just be ridiculous. So they communicate right now in a mesh setup, and you can connect your phones to it. Now your phones, you can make your own phones. We'll talk about that as well within the DeskNet system. But that's how it works. It all communicates. You have common services that you're used to, chatting. You have a copy of like Wikipedia, and we'll go more into detail about that. Now, someone asked me, hey, can I have it in a single node configuration? Because that's what I want. And the answer is yes, but your communications are going to be known. You have no security of the mesh anymore, and you have you can't do like packet routing. So when you send it, it's not going to be sent to 3 other people, and then it's going to be sent to the original destination to kind of hide where you're at. But yeah, you can communicate with you and your buddy if you want just one box, but you lose a big point of it. And this does integrate with other mesh nets. So I tried integrating it with the CJDNS mesh nets in a few areas. It worked, of course, because all it is a computing platform. You just install whatever you need on that. You can run whatever you need on top of CJDNS. So it also worked. So the back end. So this is where it becomes interesting, and this is what DeskNet does right now. And so it's a new internet. So Wikipedia allows you to download a copy of whatever they have. It's like 9 gigabytes right now. It takes a long time to download because of all the other torrents you're downloading. I don't download torrents, just kidding. So this other project, I'm totally going to mess up on this name, but it has like a really good, meaningful meaning. But what it is, it stands for like friendly communication, and it's actually a project that was started by one of my buddies. That I asked him, I was like, hey, do you think this is possible? He's like, hell yeah, I can do that soon. And then he had more important things like writing a book to get to. But he's working on it, and what it is, it's like Facebook and Twitter kind of put together, and it runs on this box. The cool part about it, though, is that you can have like a little bot on this, to where if you want this to go outside on the internet, sort of like the Arab Spring thing going down, where they wanted pictures to be posted on Twitter, it will take those items and then post it to a Twitter account. Or if you just want communications, like Facebook, while the internet's down, we also provide that. And that's exactly what that's supposed to do. So file sharing, that can also happen. Videos, images, depending on what you want. And then there's, of course, chat. That's fairly simple. And there's a lot more to go into what services could be ran onto it. And you can run your own services that aren't listed up here. So the new cellular carrier. So someone was just like, what about the FCC? And I was just like, I don't care what they have to say after the internet gets shut down. Because, I mean, think about it. Who's going to really be like, hey, you can't broadcast on 1900? And it's just like, I don't really care. You know, you can't broadcast on 700 megahertz because that's, you know, public safety Wi-Fi, and that's LTE, and that's owned by Verizon. And it's just like, I don't care. I don't have internet any right now. I need to go to Reddit. So, surprisingly, in the area that I'm at, when I set this box up, it does provide better coverage than AT&T. That's not because I'm taking down AT&T's like tower or anything like that. But yeah, so, and it can reach back to the real internet if you want it to. Let's speed up a little bit more. So CommBox's interfaces, you have radio. The radios are Wi-Fi, UHF. That's a whole long story. Some company was working with me with UHF. They had some product, and they're like, oh, cool. And then I was just like, yeah, it's a darknet. And they're just like, oh, hey, that's what hackers use. Forget you. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I built what they built, and then they got all angry at me because they're like, you're infringing on our IP. And I was just like, again, I don't care. My internet's down. But to respect them, I won't name them, and I don't have it in this current box right here. But it does have cellular. It does have a hardline Ethernet as well. And the meshing technologies can be performed via wireless. So end devices, do it yourself or BYOB or D. So we could do the do it yourself way, right? Do the MIT route. That's always cool. That's always fun. A little bit tricky, but you know, whatever. I prefer to bring my own device, so I'll bring my cell phone, and because that's what you're used to, and that's what I don't plan on people building their own cell phones. I plan on the internet going down and people having cell phones. And then the hardware, and there's a full list that's going to be given on the website. I'll give you a full build of materials and how to build this. So it's going to be super easy. You guys can see what everything goes into it. But I have a single board computer, and I have a solid state drive. I have a router, and this is for the current configuration. We'll talk about the future configuration. It has a USRP, the N210. I've been wanting to try to get the guy that's doing the LTE stuff, and we are in talks about, you know, what we can do with that, with the N210. But so far it's not running on it. And UHF comm boxes. So this is what was talked about with the other company. I don't have that right now, but I'll give you what you need for that as well. And the USRP is utilized for that as well if you don't want to use cellular. So core software runs on top of Ubuntu. OpenBTS, it's a hacked up form. You can find someone that did the data, slow data communications with OpenBTS online. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. It doesn't like having like 3 or more phones on the network right now, so that's the only problem. I2P, and then whatever else you want. You need, it's not software, but it's just configuration scripts to make it so it can work within everything. So let's see it work. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, I suck, kind of. So it's not all rainbows and unicorns. So this box can be found if you have a Spectrum Analyzer, considering how much power it's outputting as well. It kind of blows those things up. If you don't got the power, then it doesn't power anything. So if they shut down, you know, power infrastructure, you kind of SOL. Unless you want to hook it up to a generator, make sure you're like 50 feet away from that generator and use like 12 gauge cable so you don't have any interference problems. And so if someone else were to set this up in another country, they'd have to worry about, you know, getting banned, killed, things like that. We don't really have to worry about that right now, but they might, which has happened before. And then comm boxes. They're only secure with current cellular technologies. Pretty lame. I mean, OpenBTS can use A51. That can be broken in like, what, a minute? With LTE, it's a lot better security. And then WPA2 for Wi-Fi. And the future. So the next rev, it's a lot smaller, it's a lot cheaper, and it runs on ARM, thank God. And I don't have a picture of it, but it will be loaded on the website. It's instead of that, it's about 2 inches thick and about 8 inches wide. There is a white paper about how to run a meshnet and darknet best practices that's being written by me and my buddy Chase, and we're in progress of writing that right now. If you wanted to know more, or if you're in the Phoenix area, we're doing a lot of Phoenix meshnet group stuff now, so you can drop by there. If you have any ideas, you can always drop me an email. I'll give you that at the end of the slides. And cognitive mesh nets. That's another thing I've been working on with cognitive radios utilizing TV whitespace. So any questions? You got about 30 seconds. Here, let me just go to there. But any questions? Yeah. What's up?
Power requirements. What are the power requirements of your current revision and the new revision you're working on?
So the new revision, I'll cover that first, can actually be ran off a 12-volt battery. That's for if you have like a 9 amp hour battery, it can be ran off of it for about 9 hours. That does not include the cellular end though. I haven't done it, I haven't meshed those two together, but with that, the current box uses, with a 9 milliamp battery at 12 volts, you're gonna get about like maybe an hour. It says my time's up, but
How much does that cost to build?
oh, this box right here costs like $4 grand. That's why, like, you don't want to pay for that one right there. You have to.
This one you can build.
The cheapest one I can build is the pendant. If you have any other questions, my time's up. I don't want to be rude to the other speaker, so you can just ask me. I really do want to hear all your guys' questions, so I'll take as long as it needs. Thank you.